Hi, folks. Talkin' Baseball's back. This is Season 7, Episode 2, and we're entitling it, They're Back.
To quote Poltergeist 2, they're
because
back.
it's the first day of the baseball season, and we've been psyched, waiting for April 1st, and it turned out for Red Sox fans to be an April Fool's Day because they got rained out.
No game.
No game today.
I went out at 7 o'clock this morning, and it was still pouring, and I said, there's no way they're going to play this game today. However, the Yankees are about to lose, so there's some small consolation today.
But don't forget, when this goes on the air, they probably would have won.
They probably will have won 11 in a row since then.
But we are back. Baseball is finally back for a regular season. There are some fans in the stands. I think that you can have 1/8 capacity,
Yes,
4,400 people. But in order to get in, you have to give up your newborn son and a pack of Chesterfields.
I thought it was a case. So the way it works is the season ticket holders get first dibs on the seats, and they go for about $300 a piece. So if you want to fork over the money to go and be one of the 4,400, then go right ahead.
That's right.
That's a little rich
That's
for
right.
my blood, but no, if we don't get paid for this show, so we can't afford that.
Well, at least there are some people there.
Yeah.
And I noticed in the Yankee game, they weren't separating.
No,
the
no,
people
they
down
were
the
not.
right field stands all got down to the front row.
Yes, they do, of course. So there's no social distancing going on at these games. At Fenway, it's a little hard to social distance anyway. And the blue seats are sort of like this anyway, so I don't know how you can quite do that.
You know, about 2 weeks ago, I was walking by my desk downstairs, and over my desk, I had made a montage of 25 baseball cards of the 25 members on the roster of the 2018 World Champion Red Sox team.
The best team of all time,
Best team.
108 wins, and hoisted the trophy in October that year.
And I looked at it, and I said, where are all these guys gone? It's only 2.5 years ago, and there's only 7 left on the current roster.
It's a new team. It's
7
a
left on
completely new team.
or as Julius Caesar would say, ubi sunt nunc.
Right.
Where have they gone?
Where have they gone?
Now,
so here we go.
This is the montage that I made up.
Right here.
The 25 signed baseball cards of the 25 members of the 2018 World Champion Red Sox.
And Alex Cora in the middle.
And Alex Cora, just 2.5 years ago. So we thought it might be kind of interesting to start today's show off by explaining where all these guys have gone.
Where are they now?
Where are they now?
Like they do on the oldies shows. Where are they now?
How short is a baseball's career?
Yeah, right.
Or what happens during a career?
In the age of free agency, there's not a lot of loyalty. Well, it's not really loyalty. They just don't stay with the team very long.
So here we go. The only ones still remaining on the team are Barnes, Evaldi, Erod, Vasquez, Bogarts, Devers, and Martinez. And currently, Evaldi and Barnes are on the DL.
Oh, Brazier and Sale are on the DL.
And Brazier and Sale as well.
Brazier and Sale as well, and they're on the DL to start the year.
But there's essentially only 7 players currently on the team that were on the team in 2018.
Which is really
championship
amazing.
team.
Which you'd think, with a 108-win team, you'd think they'd have been loaded for bear for a couple of years, but that's not really the way it worked out. In the current day of everything has to be under the luxury tax threshold with the penalties, it's hard to build a dynasty. You really can't do it because all the guys, think about it, all the young guys that the Red Sox had coming up, 15, 16, and 17, it sort of culminated in 18 that the young crew had taken over. Well, guess what? You have to pay those guys.
And especially if 2 or 3 of them turn out to be superstars.
Right. Yep.
You know, if Mookie had been an average player, he'd still be on the team.
Absolutely.
But all of a sudden, he wins the MVP, goes berserk. You can't keep him.
You can't keep them.
Can't
Absolutely.
Almost, it's too bad, but
it's business.
Right.
We always say
it's business.
It's a business.
So
That's
here we
how
go.
it goes.
These were the pitchers that were the 2018 team that are no longer there.
And I bet you forget some of these names on here that they were with the team.
I had to look. He played?
Right.
So we're going to swap, okay?
All right, okay.
I'll take the first one.
All right.
Heath Hembry. Heath Hembry was a middle reliever. He's noted because both of his initials are the same. And he's now with the Indians as a non-roster invitee.
Right.
So he may not even play this year.
May not play this year.
The next one.
Oh, Joe Kelly, which I'm sure you all know went to the Dodgers. He ended up with Mookie and David Price over there. He is injured to start the year, but he is with the Dodgers and he's active but he's still in baseball.
I will never forget the last 6 outs of the 2018 World Series, 3 by Kelly and 3 by Sale, and they just put the Dodgers right down to their knees.
Right.
Now Kelly isn't playing.
Is a Dodger and not playing.
The big closer that they had acquired, Keith Kimbrell, is with the Cubs. He did not play in 2019.
Right, he was injured.
And last year his ERA was 7.28.
Right, and I think he's going to come back though. If you look at his numbers, he had 1 bad game, and I think the Cubs will be happy they have him as a closer because he's healthy again. Next was kind of a forgotten man on 2018, Drew Pomeranz, who's been a very good pitcher in his career when he's healthy. The health has always been the problem, as it was in 2018. He is currently with a minor league contract with the Padres, I believe,
That's
is what
right,
so he is not even in the majors anymore. He's sort of one of those guys who resurfaces every couple of years, but yeah, he's languishing in the minors in San Diego right now.
How many of you really genuinely can remember a game Drew Pomeranz pitched for the Sox?
Right.
Think of it.
Right.
Then the Cy Young winner of just 5 years ago, Rick Porcello, is not signed. He's not signed. He was a free agent, and no one has picked him up. The season started. Chance of him being picked up by what?
Pretty slim.
Pretty slim.
Pretty slim.
5 years ago, he's the top of the world, and now he's not even in the world.
So it goes in the current baseball world. And the last pitcher, of course, is David Price, who was traded with Mookie to the Dodgers, and he opted out of 2020, didn't pitch, and he's not pitching in 2021 either, as far as I know. I believe he's opted out so far.
Has he really?
I think so.
Really?
I don't know if he was even pitching in spring training.
I'll be darned.
But he was with the Dodgers. He's with the Dodgers right now. At least he's collecting a paycheck. He got a ring last year.
And in 2018, for my money, he should have been the MVP.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
But we'll talk. In fact, I'm going to ask that question now. How many of you watching this show right now can tell me quickly who was the MVP of the 2018 World Series for the Red Sox? I've asked 3 friends who are fanatics, and it took them a while to remember.
Well, we might have our answer coming up soon. Who knows? See if you can get it really quick. Yes, so this person's actually further on our list. We will get to eventually.
So now we're going to turn to infielders. Brock Holt, the Brock Star.
The Brock Star.
Everybody loved Brock Holt. And during the series, remember, he had his little kid out there.
Yeah, he did.
His kid was a little Brock Star.
He hit for the cycle against the Yankees, which is
only one ever to hit for the cycle in a postseason game. Yeah. Right now, he was traded to the Brewers, and now he's with Texas as a minor league contract spring invitee.
Right.
So he also may not play anymore.
Right. He's maybe done too.
He could play 7 positions, but he's playing an 8th one now, meaning the bench.
Right, the bench. Yeah, well, speaking of the bench, Ian Kinsler, if you remember, they picked up for the stretch run at second base. He is currently out of baseball. He retired after 2019, but he was playing with the Israeli national team currently. So he is playing baseball, but just not professionally. So good luck to Ian Kinsler. We appreciate all you did, but have fun in Israel.
Mitch Moreland has been around quite a while.
3 times.
We've had him back twice. Milwaukee released him. The Nationals released him, and I understand now he's been picked up with the Texas Rangers.
Rangers, yes. Rangers have him now. So comes right around. He started out with the Rangers, actually. So he's back where he started. And another kind of forgotten man in 2018, but he was a key guy, Eduardo Nunez, who was actually traded midway through 2019. He is with the Mets, I believe, and he's been injured. He's been sort of up and down between the majors and the minors. And he was one of my favorites because he played absolutely 100%, 100% of the time. Ran around like a lunatic every second he was on the field.
And now coming up is the answer to our little quick quiz question. The winner of the 2018 World Series MVP was Steve Pearce.
Steve Pearce.
He was with the team 1 year.
Yes.
He had a lucky World Series.
He did.
Knocked in a few runs, got a home run or 2, and he's out of baseball.
He retired after 2019. He was injured the whole year.
And he retired. So he again goes from World Series MVP to where is he now?
And little trivia note about Steve Pearce. He's one of, I think, only 2 guys ever to play for every AL East team. He was with
Is
the
that right?
Orioles, Blue Jays, Yankees, Red Sox, and which am I forgetting there? I forget. But anyway,
Rays.
The Rays. He was with all 5 AL East teams. He's one of like 3 players ever to do that, play for every team in the division. So, so moving on, we have
catchers.
We have catchers. So if you remember, Vasquez is still with the team, but
Yes, yep.
his big backup that year was Sandy Leone, who was who was a stout dude, who was sort of built like a fire hydrant. Great, world-class defender, couldn't hit a lick. He was a quintessential backup man. He is currently on the Marlins non-roster invitee. So he's trying to make his way back with Florida, but he, like a lot of guys, was let go in 2019 when they sort of cleared the deck of a lot of these players.
And the other catcher, Blake Swihart. Now, Blake Swihart never really caught on anywhere with anybody.
No.
They tried to play him in the outfield, as I remember.
He got hurt.
And he got hurt playing the outfield. He ran into the wall.
Right.
When you run into the wall, you have to sort of roll with it.
You have to do the Tom Brady tuck and roll.
You don't try to knock it down. The idea is you see it coming, you sort of hit it and roll along it. He tried to knock it down and it knocked him down.
He went face first. And he was out for the year. And
he went to the Nationals for a while. He didn't play in 2020, and I understand he's a non-roster invitee, but didn't say what team he was invited to.
Who knows? It's sort of a mystery where he went.
I think he's also out of baseball. So look at all these guys that were critical players just 2.5 years ago, who now are just,
which brings us to the outfield, which, at that time, everyone says the outfield of Betts, Bradley, and Benintendi is going to be the future of the team. Well, 2.5 years later, they have none of them now.
What I loved about those guys was that they did their little dance.
The dance was great. Yeah.
And I don't think the management liked it.
No,
but the fans loved it.
Absolutely.
They had little games they play. Whoever made the best play
would
stand up and the other one pretend to film them with the camera.
Oh, yeah.
Or little dances that they did. And it was going to be, this is the best outfield in baseball, and there's no reason why they shouldn't be here for a century.
And it was the best for 2 years.
Yep.
And now they're
all gone.
Now they're gone. Of course.
Benintendi had a horrible year last year. He was 3 for 20 and then got hurt. And he's just been traded to Kansas City for a couple of other players, one who was on the team now.
Right, yes. Yeah.
We'll
they actually got 5 guys for Benintendi, which I actually
right.
think Bloom did pretty well to do that. And that brings, and of course we all know about Mookie Betts, was traded to the Dodgers, turned down a massive extension to stay with the Sox. And folks, let's be blunt, he didn't want to be here. If he wanted to be here, he would have taken the extension. He said since day one he was going to test free agency.
Right.
For whatever reason, he didn't want to be in Boston. And I think he wanted to hit free agency. COVID messed that up. And I think he just took the deal with the Dodgers because COVID destroyed the free agency market. But folks, as much as we love our players, sometimes the players have their reasons for not being in Boston. He didn't want to be here. So
I think, too, that he's not a big guy. Maybe 5'10".
Right.
The contract that he signed is for what, 12 years?
12 years.
12 years. Well, look at Pedroia.
Right.
12 years for a guy that size is taking a risk.
It sure is.
I would not be surprised if after 4 or 5 years he's not the player that he's been.
And in the National League, at least as of now, there's no DH. So you can't hide him at offense. He has to play the field. And he's a great player. We wish him well. We have no ill will at all towards him. But 12 years is a big gamble for any player.
That's right. Now, I'd like to say something about the other guy they lost.
Yes.
Jackie Bradley. Boston has a habit of falling in love with every one of their players. Right. Anybody that gets traded, people say, how could you possibly trade him? We love our players. We like the team, but we like the players almost more.
Right.
So Jackie Bradley, whose lifetime average is 238, which in the 50s, he wouldn't even make a minor league team with that. 238, just signed 2 years with the Brewers for $24 million.
$24 million.
So they're paying him $12 million a year to 238. Now, he's a great fielder, but something about that. How many great plays does a great fielder make in a week?
Oh, a couple? A couple, yeah.
Okay.
A couple.
So an average fielder is going to miss a couple plays.
Right.
They're not both going to cost the team.
Right.
They might hold a triple to a single or something like that. But a great fielder over just a normal fielder is not going to make that much
Well,
of a
especially
difference.
an outfielder. I mean,
Yeah.
an infielder, second,
Yeah, well, third base.
the middle guys, third
base,
baseman
yeah,
makes a big deal. But even a center fielder doesn't. I mean, you can think of a couple plays that Bradley made, and he helped out the other guys, but. To me, $12 million a year is a lot for defensive specialists.
That's right.
Especially as he gets older.
That's right.
Because the legs are always the first thing to go with a player. And I love Bradley as a person. He was a great player. I loved having him here. He wrote a very heartfelt letter to Boston fans just a couple days ago saying thanks for the memories, and I was happy I was there. But as we said before, it's a business.
That's right.
And the Sox had $5 million in leeway before they went over the luxury tax threshold. He wasn't coming here for that short money. So we wish him well.
He was durable.
Yes, he was.
And he did have 3 or 4 stretches. He made the All-Star team.
He did, yes, he did.
Because he had 6 weeks where he went out of his mind. And then he was the MVP of the playoffs in 2018.
Against Houston.
Against Houston. Because he had 3 home runs and struck out 9 times.
Right, but he had 3 huge hits in the series.
So he's capable of having stretches of good offense.
Right.
But he's getting older, and they're not going to pay $24 million for that.
Well, and on the Red Sox, because the Red Sox have a good offense, you can hide a guy like that in the number 9 spot.
Yeah.
If it's an average offense, you're going to have to hit him 7th or 8th, and that's going to cost you a little bit.
That's right.
You have to bury him somewhere.
And so they're going to have him 8th and the pitcher 9th?
Right. Yeah, that's
There's an inning.
Good luck.
That's right.
Good luck to the Brewers.
That's right.
But
there were 2 other players that were on the 218 roster that did not make the playoffs, Wright and Pedroia.
Right.
Because they were hoping Pedroia would be able to.
And both are out of baseball right now.
That's right.
Pedroia's retired, and Wright, I don't know what happened to him.
He's trying to come back. He was suspended once for spousal abuse,
and
once for
steroids. Yes.
So that's 2 strikes. I heard he was trying to come back.
He really?
He's getting into his late 30s now. So.
Well, for a knuckleballer, that's just starting though.
That's right.
10 years left in him after that.
One other note I just remembered: LeBron James is now a part owner of the Red Sox.
Yeah, I know, right? Right?
LeBron James.
Well, he owns what, 1%, I think it is. It's not like he's making any decisions with the front office.
Well, he's going to have some players from Gonzaga come out and join the team.
Yeah, right. So so I'm sure we'll see LeBron in the stands a few times making the rounds. And hey, I'm all for it. I mean, I know that because he's a current player, a lot of people don't like him, but he's a huge charity guy and always an enormous charity guy. And I think he's, what the heck, it's 1%. If he wants to invest in the team, but go right ahead.
That's right.
It's money for us.
One last look.
So there they are.
There's the team.
The 2018
team.
So remember them.
I have a similar picture I made up for the 2013 team that won, and there's one player left from there.
Bogarts is
That's
it.
only one.
Yep, just Bogarts.
So it's not a player you have longevity with.
In the age of free agency, you love the uniform. You can't fall in love with the player.
That's right.
That's the way it is nowadays.
I've always felt that way, even as a little kid.
Right.
I loved the Red Sox, but whoever said Boston here.
Right, exactly.
And when they left Boston, goodbye.
Absolutely,
Yep.
100%.
I know a lot of kids idolize ball players. I've said many times, that's not the people you should idolize.
Right.
They have a natural talent. They're making a lot of money.
Right.
Idolize someone that's done something good.
Yep. 100% agree.
Okay. All right, we're going to do trivia. Now,
oh boy,
again,
here
for
we go.
you folks, I have to say this over and over again.
Oh, boy.
Now that we're being seen in multiple locations around the state.
Our heavy markets.
We used to do a trivia question for the folks out there, but we decided to change it to Stump Jason. Jason is the Ken Jennings of baseball trivia. I've never been able to stump him. I try to come up with fair questions.
Yeah, but Ken did lose eventually.
So anyway, here we go. Let me preface this. Today we are picking first basemen that should be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
So I've got a first baseman question for you. Okay.
All right.
Who was the only Red Sox first baseman to win a Silver Slugger and a Golden Glove in the same season?
Oh, okay.
Only Red Sox first baseman ever to win a Gold Glove and a Silver Slugger in the same season.
Okay.
Only one.
I will have to
So you
think of it.
ponder
That's
that.
a great question.
You ponder that, and we're going to talk about
Great question.
who is due to be in the Hall of Fame that isn't already.
Right. So we're going position by position. Last show we did catcher.
Catchers, yep.
And we had a couple good picks for catcher. And we sort of got into last show about the whole process of the Hall of Fame voting and how it's kind of become a farce over the years. So we took it upon ourselves to say, here are two people at each position who really should be in the Hall of Fame.
That's right.
And it includes current players who have 10 seasons.
Yep.
And we don't care about steroids, which plays into this month's this month's
It's
pick.
going strictly by statistics.
Strictly by numbers.
We're the shredder.
Yes, we are.
We will shred for you.
We do all the shredding
all the
for you.
shredding for you.
Yeah,
okay?
we'll take care of that.
So I'll go first.
You want to go first? All right.
Only because this is one of the most no-brainers we're going to have all year.
Mm-hmm.
My pick for the Hall of Fame first baseman is Albert Pujols.
Oh, absolutely.
Albert
100%
Pujols.
Albert.
He is the oldest current player in the league.
Yes, there he is. Our producers are enjoying the picture of him right
he
there.
played from 2001. This is his 21st season. And I'm not really keen on reading a lot of stats, but you've got to read his stats.
His are pretty astounding. They really
He's
are.
already had 3,236 hits, 662 home runs, which is more than Willie Mays, 2,100 RBIs, which is third all time, and his lifetime batting average is .299. Now, it's strange. He played 10 years with the Cardinals.
Right.
Every single year with the Cardinals, he hit over 300.
Right, yes, he did. Yeah.
And then he went to the Angels for 10 years, and he's never hit 300
Right.
with the Angels.
So let's see what he goes.
Is that kind of strange? He's a three-time MVP in 5, 8, and 09.
Yeah.
Hit over 100 RBIs his first 10 seasons in a row.
That's really amazing.
And his postseason's average is .323 with 19 homers. 27 games he's played in the postseason.
Yeah.
It was 10 All-Star games, 2 Gold Gloves, 6 Silver Sluggers. And the one thing that I'm not going to brag about is he also holds the all-time record for hitting into double plays.
Yes, he
He's hit into 399 double plays.
Well, he's had a lot of guys on in front of him, I guess.
So you counted for 800 outs. No, what is that? Yeah, 800 outs all by himself.
So he's not a speedster. That's the one. That's the one thing you can't say about him.
Fifth in career home runs, third in career RBIs, fifth in career doubles, and second in intentional walks.
Right.
Tell me who's number one.
Intentional walks. Teddy.
Nope.
No.
He had 249.
Oh, Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds. Yeah,
Barry
Barry
Bonds
Bonds.
had 249
Yeah.
in one season.
Yeah, that's right. Barry Bonds walked a ton. And people, these numbers are still fluid. He's
That's right.
still playing.
Still playing.
I think he has 2 years left in his contract with
I
the
think
Angels.
so.
Is it
Yeah.
this year and next year, I think? So he could move up in some of these categories, too.
And I think he still hits cleanup with the team.
Yes, he does.
The Angels are not a hard-hitting team. They've got Trout and
He and
Pujols.
Trout and nobody else.
So and he had a decent season last year. There's no reason why he couldn't play 2-3 more years.
Absolutely. So.
He's just his numbers are staggering.
And I think because he's active, people don't appreciate how good he really is.
And this is my favorite stat of Albert Pujols: 662 home runs. Right? He has never struck out 100 times in one season.
Oh,
These years, everybody
about
strikes
that.
out. I think there were 125 guys that struck out.
oh
100.
yeah, everybody strikes out. That's
He has
part of the
never
course.
in all these years struck out 100 times in one season. That's
It
extraordinary.
really is. So Albert, he'll be a first ballot guy.
Shaughnessy won't. vote for him.
Shaughnessy will vote for
Somebody else.
he'll vote for Jackie Bradley. He had nobody else that year on his ballot. So come about 2028, I think it would be, or something like that. Pujols will be getting in the Hall of Fame. So I made my pick for the first baseman. It's someone you know, and just to reiterate, we go by numbers. We don't care about off-the-field stuff. That means nothing to us. So my pick for who should be in the Hall of Fame for a first baseman, Rafael Palmeiro.
Good for you.
Now,
Good
Rafael
for you.
Palmeiro, and again, we don't want to hit the stats too hard, but think about this. Rafael Palmeiro is one of 6 players ever with 3,000 hits and 500 homers. One of 6 ever. He has 569 homers, 3,000 hits, 585 doubles, too. I mean, his numbers are pretty ridiculous. He has a 288 average, 885 OPS. He won 3 Gold Gloves. He made 4 All-Star games. And I think the reason he didn't make more, and this is sort of the knock against him, other than the steroids, he played mostly for Texas and Baltimore.
That's right.
And
That's
until
right.
the end of his career, those teams were not very good. He had a couple years when the Orioles were good, and he had 1 year when the Rangers were good. He only played in 3 postseasons.
I was just going to say,
right.
didn't play much in the postseason.
Right. And so I think that really hurts him because as much as we know the Orioles, nationally they're sort of a mid-market team. Right. And nobody really pays attention to the Rangers unless they're doing well. So I think that's a knock on him. Oh, and to go on the strikeouts thing, he had more walks than strikeouts in his career. He had 5 more walks than strikeouts. They're just about even. And he had 10 seasons. He never won an MVP, but he had 10 seasons where he got votes into the top 10. That's a lot. I mean, that's about half his career he got an MVP vote. But I think, like I said, what's against him is the steroids and the teams he played for. And I think what a lot of people aren't taking into consideration, I think because he's Latin, I think that's held against him a little bit.
I couldn't agree more with that.
I think because he's a Latin player, he doesn't quite get the credit that he really should. Right. I think all those combined are what's because he hasn't even been close. There are some steroids guys like Clemens and Bonds who have hung around in the ballot. Palmeiro, I think, was off in 2 or 3 years.
I think he's off. He's completely off.
He's completely done now, but he didn't even last very long.
He's got 600 home runs and he's not on the ballot.
Right.
There's some prejudice going on with him.
Yeah,
I remember he testified in Washington.
Right, and he said, "I'm not here to talk about the past. I never did steroids."
Yeah,
and so, I mean, it's how do we know? I mean, from that era, how do we know who tested and who didn't?
A couple other things with him too. No iconic moments.
Well, that's because it wasn't in the postseason very much, right?
He never did anything. You say Palmeiro. People, it doesn't automatically, a vision doesn't click into their heads.
Didn't have one key at bat or one key play or one key series.
That's the best thing about being shredders. Shredders don't see iconic moments.
Shredders, yeah, right. Shredders don't care about that.
They don't care about iconic moments. All the moments count.
And for the shredder, Jaws, if you know what Jaws is, has him as the 12th best first baseman in baseball history. So that's a Hall of Famer in my book. I'm sorry.
That's right.
So Rafael, hopefully something will happen with the Veterans Committee down the road, and he'll get in. But I think it's crazy that he's not in the Hall of Fame with those numbers.
I think we get 2 winners.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
In fact, maybe we should start our own Hall of Fame.
I think so.
And take our players and see how they stack up against the ones they put in.
Well, I think Palmeiro and Pujols are going to put a lot of first basemen to shame.
Like Jake Bagley.
Yeah, right.
From the 1890s.
Right. So I think we got 2 heavy hitters for this one right here.
Okay.
This is 2 pretty big no-brainers.
Second baseman may be a little tougher next time.
I think so.
We'll try with that.
So.
So we come around to our trivia answer. All right. Once again, the question was, who is the only Red Sox first baseman to win both a Silver Slugger and a Gold Glove in the same season?
I'm trying to think how far back the Silver Sluggers go, because I want to say that it would be George Scott, but am I wrong?
You're not right. I'll give you the year, 2011.
2011? Oh, good Lord.
2011.
Oh, it was that recent. Oh, I wasn't even thinking that recent. 2011. Oh, my good Lord.
My God, have I stumped him.
Yes, I think you did.
Tick.
I think you did. 2011.
2011.
Oh, Adrian Gonzalez.
Yes. Very good.
I forgot he was with the team.
I mean, he was only with them
he was only with them for 2 years.
He won a silver.
I totally forgot he was with the team. That's right.
Remember they traded him back to the Dodgers?
They did. They gave him to the Dodgers. He went with Beckett and all those guys.
2011 was a forgettable year, but he won both the Silver Slugger.
Oh, so Ken lost today. Ken didn't get one right.
Well,
I thought it would be dipping further back than that. I totally forgot he was with the team.
One hit. That's still phenomenal.
Right. Yeah, that's right. 2011 was the year they crashed at the end in the last week of the season.
This is our 52nd show, and I finally stumped Jason.
Took you long enough, jeez.
You're still hitting 995.
That's all right. But that won't get me in the Hall of Fame, though. Shaughnessy's not going to vote for me. No.
All right. Now, baseball is forever tinkering with itself.
It's ever changing.
Ever-changing.
Malleable is the word you used to teach, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Malleable.
Malleable. Last year, because it was a short season, they tried some kind of radical things that are still hanging on. We were just watching a game now that went into extra innings, and it started with a man on second base.
Yankees and Blue Jays had guys on second base.
And that apparently is going to stay. Not our favorite idea.
Not a good idea, but...
And the same thing about doubleheaders. I have a question if anybody out there knows it, because I couldn't find it online.
I couldn't find this either, yes.
If there's a doubleheader, that means 2 games consecutive. both games go 7 innings. But what if there is a day-night doubleheader, and in this day and age now,
They all are.
they're all going to be
Right.
because they're separate admissions.
Right.
Why would they give away 2 games
Right.
for the price of 1? So if there's a day game followed by a night game with separate admissions,
Are they
going
both
to be 7-inning
I have
games?
no
And if
idea.
they are, that kind of sucks
That
because
kinda does.
ordinarily a doubleheader you see 14 innings.
Right, yeah, right.
But if anybody out there has a clue as to why,
Right.
whether that's going to happen
Yeah,
or not, I
and
don't know.
I couldn't find anything about that either. It's sort of vague wording with the way they have double headers.
So I don't know how that's going to happen.
No, we'll have to
The,
find that out.
One thing that also kind of irks me, the National League is hanging on to the having the pitcher bat.
Give me a
But I think
break.
it's pretty well conceded that when the players have their, what do you call them?
The
contracts,
contract,
decisions made after the season, that the pitcher won't bat anymore.
I think so. What is the collective bargaining agreement?
Collective, that's
which
it.
which
That's
is
the term.
supposed to happen after this year.
Yes,
And
yes.
so I think that's going to be a negotiation.
Yeah.
I think the players want it.
I
To
think
be
they- I
honest
think
with
they
you.
do,
I
too.
really think they do.
I mean, it really adds a player to the team.
oh, for sure.
And
for sure.
from the fans' point of view, you get to see a player that really can't play in the field much longer, but was hang on.
Oh, right.
People like stars.
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I just keep thinking if Ted Williams could have played 5 more seasons.
Oh, absolutely.
And to be able to
Absolutely.
see him come up and bat.
Right.
But to have pitchers go out there and bat and occasionally
And hit- yeah.
hurt themselves.
Right.
Wright comes to
Stephen
mind.
Wright.
Although it was very funny, if any of you folks watch much the preseason stuff on baseball, there was a shot of Dennis Eckersley
Oh,
hitting
yes.
his home run.
He hit his home run.
He had like 14 for his 14
Right.
for his career, but he hit a home run and he didn't know how to run it.
It was off Hall of Famers, off Gaylord Perry, wasn't it?
And he was running around sort of flapping his hands like this,
Yes.
and the other announcer saying, "You really need to work on your home run trot." So occasionally when a pitcher does hit well, it's
It's sort of comical rather
That's
than
right.
rather than entertaining.
but there was some guys that came out there that struck out 200 out of 200.
Well, Lester. I mean, Lester is just a world class horrible
and so
hitter.
you automatically walk the 8th guy
Right.
and pitch to the 9th
Which is
guy.
not exciting baseball
No, it's
to me.
not
I'm
baseball.
sorry. So
Back in the day when all the pitchers batted, even then the pitchers weren't very good.
right. You had a few who could hit, but not many. Not many at all.
And don't forget, back then, a lot of complete games were pitched.
Right.
So therefore, the pitcher got a lot more at bats.
Oh, sure, for
So he'd
sure.
get five
Right.
times every time he came
Right,
up, say.
right.
So he did have a lot more chances.
So now a pitcher goes 5 innings, he gets 1 at
One
bat,
at
and then he's
bat.
pitch hit for the second time through the
and
order.
every
So-
relief pitcher gets hit for.
Oh, for
So,
sure, yeah.
you know.
When was the last time you saw Kimbrel bat? Has he ever batted? Ever? I don't think so.
So here's some things they're trying out in the minor leagues this year.
Right.
See what you think of these.
Right, and
now.
I think the idea is that they're grooming the minor leaguers to get used
Yeah.
to these rules, and if it works, you eventually bring it to the major league level because they grew up with doing this.
And here's the quote at the beginning of the article. On the surface, the changes are meant to put more balls in play, improving the pace of the game and reduce injuries.
Right.
In reality, it's all about tweaking the game to make it more appealing to a younger generation that is losing interest.
Which unfortunately is true. It's the average age of a baseball fan is now the late 50s.
Yep.
Baseball is losing its young audience, and like it or not, we're going to watch it no matter what. But there are a lot of people that aren't going to watch it because they think it's too slow or it's not entertaining enough or whatever. You have to get that crowd back into baseball. You need the
Jake,
younger crowd.
Between us, we're 120 years old, so that's
Right.
an average of 60.
So we're above the average, right?
That's right.
But you know, if you're watching the show, we hope you're a fan too. But there's a big chunk of the population that they only watch the World Series
That's right.
if they watch anything at all. And you have to get the younger kids into it. And
right.
the kids, well, they're all into basketball and football now.
And something, instant gratification takes too long. It's got to
Absolutely.
be quicker, faster, and put more people on base and have more plays. So
Right.
You have to do
more
that.
action. More
So
action.
here are some of the things they're trying out. This first one cracks me up.
Yes, I like this one too. Yes.
In AAA, they're trying this out in various levels of the minor leagues and see how it works, scout it out, see if it's acceptable. Because they're doing this because when they have this, what's the players thing called?
Oh, the collective bargaining agreement.
Collective bargaining agreement. When they do this, the players have to agree to do
Right.
this.
All of these are on the
Okay.
docket that the
Okay.
players have
But
to agree
This
to.
is the first one, and it's being tried out in AAA. The bases themselves, the physical bases, will be increased from 15 inches to 18 inches with a rougher surface. Okay, 15 to 18 inches. They're making bases bigger.
3 inches is a big deal.
So it's actually, though, between first and second, it's 6 inches.
6 inches. It's 3 each way.
Now, how many times does a player stealing get thrown out
By this much.
a fraction?
Right.
So now he's got a half foot more. Ricky Henderson is making a comeback and
Right.
going to try to steal 200 bases in a season.
Right. Well, we've said one of the unassailable records of all time in baseball is Henderson's 130 steals in a season. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
And the way that players are specialized now, you could have a Herb Washington kind of guy who does nothing but run, and that's his job on the team.
And listen to this rationale. Modest, get the word modest, impact on the success of stolen base attempts, as well increase the times batters reach base on ground balls, including bunts.
Oh, please, nobody bunts anymore. That's
Including bunts.
Nobody bunts
you've
anymore.
got 3 inches less to run.
right. Hey, it
Well-
makes a difference. It makes a difference.
So if that works, maybe how about next year making them 21 inches?
Oh, keep expanding them out.
Getting it bigger
oh,
and
right.
bigger.
Oh, there we go.
Getting it bigger and bigger. Why not?
Well, you only have to run 4 steps to get to first base.
And the other thing is it's going to have a rougher surface. Well, who was the Washington player in right field that slid on the top of the base?
Oh, Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper, yeah.
Stepped on the top of the base on a rainy day,
Yeah.
slid it off and hurt his leg.
Yeah, and he wiped out.
So I
Yeah,
guess they're
yeah.
going to have sandpaper on the top of it, so when the guy grabs it,
He sticks there rather than going right over it.
His oven mitt will stick to it.
Right, yeah, right. That's right. It's a
It'll be sort of
Velcro
like
mitt.
Velcro
Yeah,
mitt, so it'll
stick
stick
right-
to it,
yeah.
so he won't slide off.
That's right.
I mean, it sounds funny we're making fun of it, but the idea is to make more stolen bases.
Make
the idea
more
is to get
action.
more people on base.
Right, which I'm all for that.
So
all for that.
the trouble is, remember when Lou Piniella used to pick up the bases and throw them in the stands?
He has more to pick up.
He's gonna
now.
have to
He can't
work.
do it.
He's gonna have. He won't be able to. You have to have stronger managers.
Well, steroided managers. Maybe that's something we can
Get
work
him
on.
strong and rip the bases out.
Right. I miss Lou Piniella too. Remember he used to do that? Just go absolutely berserk on a
Well,
bad
that's
call?
the
I
trouble.
loved him.
That's the trouble with instant replays. We've lost all the arguments.
Some of the
It was so much fun.
Earl Weaver was a
Earl
classic.
Weaver, Bobby Cox.
Oh, God.
I just heard the other day, Bobby Cox holds the records with most ejections, 158 plus 3 in the postseason.
Right.
He got thrown
In the
out of the
playoffs.
season.
Yeah, right.
He got thrown out of a
entire
season.
season. He got thrown out, and he used to just, and he didn't even say anything. He'd just be in the dugout, and if the umpire missed the pitch, he'd just take his hat off and flip it like this and catch and put it back on his head. So
Yeah.
he didn't have to say anything.
No, he wasn't like Weaver would come out and grabbed. He was little,
Yeah.
so he'd stand on his toes and put
Right.
his head under the guy's chin.
Right.
And he's like a little rooster going
Right.
up underneath the guy.
Right.
But Cox would he must have said things.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Because he had sort of a limp.
Yeah.
And he sort of gimp out there, they throw him out. He got thrown out before a game once.
Right, I
during-
remember that. I remember that. And 3 playoff games he got thrown out.
But I kind of miss that.
I do too. That was
remember
fun.
the big 67 season, I went to a lot of games, and Eddie Stanky used to coach the White Sox,
Yeah.
and he would come out and argue with the umpire on the mound.
Right.
He'd go out to talk to the
Right,
pitcher.
right.
The umpire would come out to break
And
it
he'd
up.
start to yell at
And he
him.
stood it because he was short.
Right.
So he was taller than the umpire because he was standing on the mound, and the umpire was down on the ground. No, fans went nuts.
Oh, it's like,
They went crazy.
Oh, and you're right. The fans get, whenever there was a big argument, the manager would just get in the face of an umpire. The fans get all into it and start standing and especially if it was a really horrible call. They really get fun. I remember even Tito Francona got in a few that he really got all red in the face and started
right.
yelling,
That's right.
yelling at the guy. The best ever was when it was a Spanish player, I forget who, and he was talking in Spanish to the other guy on the other team, and he thought he was yelling something at him. It was a rookie up, and he threw the guy out. And Francona went berserk. He said, "You don't even speak Spanish. How the heck do you know what they were even saying to each other?" And but it was too late. He already was thrown out.
There's a lot of funny stories
Yeah.
about that, and they're all gone.
Yeah, they're gone.
They're all
That's
gone.
it.
Now they just did an umpire, put earmuffs on, and sit there, and then
Yeah.
come back and make a sign.
Yeah. But Joe West still set the record this year.
That's just too bad.
So moving on, another one is in Double-A. They are talking about banning the defensive shift. And, well, not really banning, but tweaking it a little bit.
Well, a lot.
And how it is all 4 infielders must be in the infield on every pitch. The goal is to have more batters reach base, as we talked about. And at midseason, it may be altered to have 2 fielders on each side of second base. I'm sorry. Hey, you want to have a defensive alignment? Go and do it. It's in the rules. As long as all 9 guys are on the field, what does it matter? I know that at the major league level, everybody shifts. Every at bat, everybody goes around, and there's 3 guys on the infield or whatever. But banning the shift, I'm sorry, I don't get that at all.
That's what those little cards are
Yeah,
for.
of course they are.
Here,
Of course they
you
are.
go stand 12 yards out this way.
Right.
You stand this way. They've done it by the
shredder,
by the
the
shredder.
defensive shredder.
Something is figured out where he hits the ball. You go stand there
Right.
and move it. But what it does is it takes away base runners.
Of course it does.
And that's what they don't want to happen.
Right.
So they're mandating, or going to try to mandate, having people stay in the infield. And you can't do that kind of shift.
Right. So you can't have the second baseman out in shallow right field like you would have in softball. Because how many hits did Poppy lose because the second baseman was way out in the outfield and he hit a hard grounder right at him?
You know, the thing is, the obvious answer is having hitters learn to hit the both fields.
Right, but they don't do that.
But they don't do that
They just swing from the heels
because they
now.
swing from the heels.
Right.
If everybody hit like Wade Boggs,
Right.
or Rod Carew,
Right.
they wouldn't have any
Wouldn't
shifts.
matter.
You couldn't do it.
Wouldn't matter at all.
But shifting goes back to when I was a kid. I was a lefty, terminal lefty.
Right.
Anytime I came up to bat,
Right.
they would all scream, "Lefty!"
Lefty, and they'd all go-
everybody
yeah.
go to right field. I wasn't a power hitter. I just hit the ball up the middle.
Right.
They raised my average by shifting.
Right.
I thought it was great. Go shift.
Good, yeah. I'll hit it right up the middle. That'll help me. Thank you very much.
This shifting over.
Oh.
In fact, I'm going to tell a little funny story people in town will know. I used to play ball against 40 Exaris, and 40 Exaris is an amazingly strong power hitter. But we played at Marshall Park, and he would hit foul after foul after foul after foul. So finally, I stationed a guy in foul territory.
Yeah.
He came over, he said, "You can't do that. It's in the rules. You can't put anybody in foul territory." I said, "Yes, I can." He picked me up by one neck, a foot off the ground, and I said, "Yes, I can't." If anybody remembers 40 Exaris, it's a true story.
It's true. So, yes, that's right. Come on back in. So that's one that's in Double A right now that they're working on.
Now, this gets a little more complicated here. High single A. That's high single
That's
A.
high single.
As opposed to low single A.
Right.
Pitchers can't throw to first base with a foot on the rubber. This will make it harder to prevent runners from stealing second. In low A leagues, pitchers will be limited to first and then one pickoff per plate advantage. I'm for that.
Right.
You can throw over once.
Once. That's it.
And that's it. You
That's
can't
it.
just keep throwing over and over and over. And every time they throw over, the crowd boos.
Crowd boo,
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 crowd
boo,
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 boo, boo, boo.
It just delays the game.
Right.
So you can't do, who was the Yankee pitcher? The
Oh,
lefty?
Andy Pettit.
Andy Pettit.
Pettit's pickoff move was a balk. I'm sorry. They let him get away with that for 20 years. It was a balk. You can't just do that quick step off that he used to do all the time.
You would remember in the 75 World Series, the first time Louis Tion threw the first, they called a balk.
Right, yeah.
First
right,
time.
Right.
Because that was a National League umpire.
Right,
And he
yes.
never seen any of
Right.
this stuff that he did all the time.
Right.
But it's for lefties especially, you could cheat.
Of course you can.
And
Of course
it
you
looks
can.
like you are.
Right.
So they're going to eliminate that. So
Right.
you can't do that and try to keep this constantly throwing. They want people to steal second
Of course
base.
they do. They want more action.
It's more action.
And now with so many rules about relievers coming in and things like that, it's a delay tactic too.
Sure it is.
There's a guy in the bullpen who's not quite ready. I'll
right.
throw over a couple
That's right.
times and
That's right.
we'll take care of that.
Or they mentioned the catcher.
Go
talk to
out
him
and
for
talk
a
to him and
while.
and then he throws over and then the other guy's
But since
ready.
now, I forgot to mention that the pitcher still has to pitch to 3 batters this year.
Yes, still three
So
batters.
then
Yes.
that stuff isn't going to work so much
Right,
anymore.
but
right?
you had somebody like who was the guy for the Tigers? Who Poppy at the Grand Slam? Oh, Joaquin Benoit. Remember him? The slowest pitcher of the last decade. Throw over 6 times in a row and mess around and do this and do that. You can't do that anymore in the low minors. So I'm actually pretty much for that
I am too.
in terms of keeping the action
In the
going.
National League, American National League, back in the 30s and 40s, games regularly were under 2 hours
Oh,
long.
for sure. Yeah.
I mean, TV is lengthened them some.
Right.
But they just run in and out, and leave the gloves on the field.
that was it.
Play a quick game.
Now 2 hours are in the 5th inning on a good day. So.
Okay, what's your
So
next one?
this is another one. Now this is low A in the Southeast League. They are experimenting with an automated ball strike system to, I'm quoting here, to assist home plate umpires in a consistent strike zone.
We talked about this
We've
last
talked about
year.
this before.
Yeah.
The automated strike zone. Now, again, I'm on board with this.
am
At
too.
least in theory, I am on board with this. Now, I'm sure there might be some weakness that they'll figure out, but it doesn't make any sense to me that game to game, even inning to inning sometimes, that your strike zone will change.
Right.
It should be consistent the entire way. It goes through the strike zone. The ump gets a little beep when it goes through the strike zone, calls a ball or strike,
right.
and the catcher throws it back. And there's none of this. Who was the really good umpire? Was it Steve Palermo maybe?
Yes.
Who took forever to make the call.
That's right.
Like the pitcher would go in and the catcher could hear, but nobody else would. So the pitcher didn't know if the guy was stealing, if he walked or something.
Right.
And then finally, strike. Oh, thanks. 10 seconds after the pitch. You know instantly what happens as soon as the pitch goes through the strike zone.
Right. And he has the option to override it.
Right,
Because
yes.
if the pitch bounces 10 feet
Correct,
in front
yes.
and comes through the strike zone,
Right.
he can reject it.
Right, exactly,
It's the people, the idea of making the game totally mechanical, automatic in this age of electronics, I think strikes some people wrong. There should be a guy back there, but the guys back there aren't doing a good job.
No, and the thing is, that first off, they're humans. They're going to make mistakes. And second, I don't think people realize this. As the game has gone on, pitchers are throwing harder and harder than ever before.
Oh.
The human eye can't keep up with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. It's been proven scientifically your eye cannot go that fast to follow a pitch. So you're guessing. You're guessing where the catcher has his mitt set up, and that's not right.
Right.
That's not a true strike zone.
Another thing nobody ever sees to mention is umpires are different heights.
Of course they are.
So
yes.
a low
Right,
umpire
right.
is going to see the pitch different than a tall umpire.
Of course.
They bend over, but
Right.
there's 6-7 inches difference in
Right.
some of the players' heights.
Right.
There's been some pretty short umpires.
Well,
in
and
there,
I
you
think,
know?
and even the players are getting bigger. Like Aaron Judge is up here, and if you have a short umpire and trying to get Aaron Judge's strikes, so good luck with that. Good luck being consistent with that.
It's hard.
Yeah, right. So we're all for that one.
I think it'll be interesting to see how this low Southeast League
Right.
does with it.
I'm
Try it.
curious.
I'd like, you don't just put this in.
Right.
But let's try it out and see how it actually
Right,
works.
right.
Because the technology they have now is incredible.
It's there. The technology's there, so use it.
The last one is in the Low West League.
Right.
Low A
West
Low A
League.
West League. I don't know if that means low in the country.
I have no idea.
Arizona.
I have no idea where you can't.
Where is the Low West League? They'll enforce an array. I like that word.
Right, array.
An array of time limits for pitch deliveries, inning breaks, and pitching changes. That means you have to throw the ball within, say, 20 seconds.
Right, right.
Can only have a minute and a half between innings
Right.
because they're not televising those games.
Right.
So they
yeah.
can do it quicker.
Right. In the minors, you can get away with
and,
that.
and
not in the
so
majors.
much time for pitching changes, so you
Right.
can't do this stuff.
Right, right.
And so all that time with this downtime in the game,
Right.
shorten all that down.
Right.
I think that's going to be difficult to enforce.
I think it will be too, because as you said, well, you can only enforce it in the minors, not the majors, because in the major leagues, guess what? Television rules.
right.
That's where the revenue is coming from. And you know what? If Fox wants to put 2.5 minutes of ads in, Fox is going to do that.
Yeah.
So that's really unenforceable in the majors. But at the minor leagues, well, you see what happens. I mean, why not?
I mean, television. You're a big NCAA fan.
Yeah.
The last minute of a close game in the NCAA
Goes 20 minutes.
Goes 20 minutes.
Yeah, right.
They have timeout, and every timeout there's 4 minutes.
There's an ad.
And then there's one play and one possession, and they do it again.
And then they foul, and then there's an ad, and then there's another ad.
after.
Right.
It's unbelievable how many ads they
Right.
sneak in.
But I think the way baseball is set up, it allows advertising time in between innings, in between pitching changes, whatever. And I'm sorry, if if a multi-billion-dollar company is going to ask to put 30 seconds there, guess what? MLB is going to do it. MLB is going to do that.
Well, that money goes to MLB.
Right. So
That's-
MLB is going to say, hey, go ahead.
Some of the poorer teams make most of their money off television.
Sure. So,
And all teams make the same amount from TV.
right.
It's not like just TNT gets the bread.
Right. That's the biggest revenue. That's where
that's right.
That's where your payroll comes from. It doesn't come from ticket
That's
sales.
right.
It comes from the television.
It's a business. Like
Right.
all businesses, there's got to be ads.
Right. So that one, I'm not sure how that is going to break out of single A. I'm not sure that one's going to go anywhere.
But they're trying them all. And I think the bigger bases, perhaps, and the shifts might sneak in with the next year or two.
They might. Who knows? I'm really curious to see what the CBA is going to do, how the players are going to be on board with that. I mean, that's what it comes down to. The players have to approve all this.
That's right.
And if they think something is not going right, they're going to say no.
And I sure hope it doesn't lead to any strike.
Oh God, I hope not.
We've been through those.
Well, I think interestingly, I think with COVID, I think it's sort of shifted. If you asked me 2 years ago, I would say that the players had the advantage. I think the owners have a little bit of an advantage now.
Yeah.
With the limited capacity, and they're not giving out big contracts anymore because they've gotten ridiculous over the last few years. I don't think the players are in a strong negotiating position.
No, they're not.
At least not where they were 2 years ago, where I would have said that they're going to run over the owners and we're going to see $50 million a year contracts.
Right.
I don't see that happening right now the way things are.
And the draft took a big hit because no players played last year.
There was no minor league baseball last year, so I think we're on board with most of these changes. And
We'll
again,
see.
baseball is malleable. It's not people talk about the good old days. Well, you're going to play like they did in the 1880s. I don't think so. It has to adapt.
Okay, last part of the show. We're going to introduce our team.
Yes.
The Red Sox have had so many changes. I'll admit I had to look up some of them.
I did too.
The new general manager has done just exactly what he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
He was going to bring in some kids, some
fresh talent,
fresh talent, people that have been hurt. Give them a second chance.
Right.
You can't name the team without a program.
Right.
So here's the program.
Right.
We'll do this quickly.
Right.
Catchers. Vasquez is back. I think Vasquez had a great year last year. I think he's going to be terrific. I think he'll be one of the stars of the team.
I agree.
I think he's
100%
coming.
agree.
Catches, as you said many times, learn to hit later on.
Right.
And I think that he's going to be great at that.
I agree.
But his backup, we'll see. What do you think?
His backup is Kevin Plawecki, who actually hit very well in a small sample size last year. I just honestly haven't seen him enough to make much of a judgment about him. I think he did fine last year over a 60-game season. But we'll see. I mean, a backup catcher is only in 50, 60 games a year.
Yep.
So we'll see how he does.
At first base, Bobby Dahlback.
Yes.
Bobby Dahlback could beat out Michael Chavis. Michael Chavis is not going to start with the team. He's in the minor leagues. Right. He is, in fact, I think he's probably going to be my pick for a surprise this year.
Really? Good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
He's got great power, but he strikes out too much.
Yes, he does.
But in spring training this year, which doesn't mean much, he led the entire Grapefruit League in homers and RBIs, and hit 310.
And nothing was cheap about his homers. No. They were all crush outs. But he'll strike out 150 times a year.
He's their first baseman. Who's their second baseman?
So second baseman, as of now, is Kiki Hernandez, who they got from the Dodgers, and is sort of a versatile kind of dude. He can play a lot of positions, but they haven't penciled in at second base. He's going to lead off. He doesn't have a lot of speed, but no one on the team does. I don't think that's a focus on this year's team.
Right.
He is actually kind of a power hitter. He's hit 20 homers a couple times in his career. He only has a 240 average, but he walks a lot, and I think that's why they're going to put him in the leadoff spot. And he did hit a homer against the Sox in the playoffs in 2018, if you remember, when he was with the Dodgers. And I think he might be my pick for surprise this year.
Okay.
It seems like the players are very positive about him. Cora has really challenged him to make a mark on the team, and the guys all love him in the clubhouse. They think he's a real leader.
As our time is running down, Bogarts and Devers are back at short and third. They should be solid.
They absolutely should be solid, I think so.
But the outfield's new.
Right. And I think and a couple of the backup guys they got, Marwin Gonzalez is another sort of versatile type that Bloom likes to get. Can play a lot of positions. And Christian Arroyo is going to make the team, which I actually thought he did a pretty good job last year.
Right.
I think that they'll be fine with him as a backup infielder. So, yeah, the outfield is where the real uncertainty is.
Franchi Cordero. Now, get that. Franchi.
Franchi.
I thought it was Franchi.
No, I did too. It's Franchi.
Until yesterday.
Right, it's Franchi Cordero.
Franchi Cordero, which they got from Kansas City in the Benintendi deal. Supposedly he's a big guy.
He is a big guy. But he's another 30-homer, 150 strikeout guy.
6'3", 226.
Yeah. And in right field is sort of someone who's a little better known to Red Sox fans anyway, Hunter Renfroe, who you might remember was with the Rays. And again, he's another big slugger.
Had 33 homers.
33 homers, but he'll hit 230 and strike out a bunch.
And Verdugo's going to play center. He's, I think, going to be one of the stars of the team.
I 100% agree. I'm all in on Verdugo. I think he plays with a ton of energy. I really like that. A lot of guys go out and they play sort of like J.D. Drew and sort of slough around and whatever. Every single second he's on the field, he's chattering and he's hustling, and I really, really like what he brings to the team.
And J.D. Martinez is back as the DH or part-time outfielder. He's the guy I think I'm going to be most disappointed in.
Boy, I hate to say it, but I think I agree with you. I think he looked lost last year sometimes. He really did.
Well, he didn't have his television.
He didn't have his TV thing, so maybe the TV thing will help, but he had a really, really rough year last year.
Now let me read down through the starting rotation.
Right.
Edward Rodriguez, Evaldi, Garrett Richards, Martin Perez, and Nick Pavetta. And you're going to say, who?
Who?
Rodriguez is already on the DL, and Tanner Houck is going to play for him.
Right.
That is the ultimate no-name starting rotation
it sure
of
is.
all time.
It sure is. Evaldi may be the only person that Red Sox fans know. Well, Perez was with them last year, but last year sort of doesn't count. It was sort of a half year. And you know what that is? That's a typical Bloom rotation.
Yep.
You put a lot of new guys in and give them a chance and see what they can do. Now, the relief pitchers,
just read them through.
Right, yeah, and I think this is actually going to be a strength. We have Adam Ottavino, who they got from the Yankees, who's always been a solid guy. Matt Barnes is going to be their closer, who will be ready for opening day. They got a Soamora from Japan, who I'm really curious to see. They have Darwinzon Hernandez. Josh Taylor had a great year in 2019, but was hurt actually was out with COVID. Garrett Whitlock. Austin Bryce, who you might remember, Phillips Valdez, who I think is going to be another really interesting guy. He has sort of a sidearm delivery. They have Kevin McCarthy, who they got from the Royals, and Matt Indrice, who again was with Tampa Bay, so you might remember him. As of now, Ryan Brazier is probably done for the year from what I've seen, which is unfortunate. They really could have used him, but so it goes with the injuries.
So next show, we'll be into the season, and we'll go through these guys in a little more
And we'll
detail.
see how many are still here
we
in
figured
May.
we at least should introduce you to the team at the time we had.
Right.
And we'll see how they all do.
Right.
It's always great to talk to you folks, especially now that we're being seen around New England.
Seen everywhere.
And let's hope baseball is back for keeps, and that finally we can get to go to see a game, and things will get back to normal. Stay healthy,
Hopefully.
everybody.
Take care, everyone. Thank you for watching.
We'll see
wherever
you,
you may be.
See you anon.
Thank you for watching another outstanding program provided to you by Lunenburg Public Access. We're here to serve the community. Lunenburg Public Access is always looking for volunteers to help record town events, high school sports, and town meetings. Please consider helping us out today. To contact us, you can call 617-763-3018 or email us at lunenburgaccess@gmail.com. Thank you.